Ladies and gents, welcome. My name is Wasmatic and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be following on in the series of guides on dual universe, industrial crafting, processy things, and previously we've looked at mining, how you can get ore out of the ground, and then we looked at a video which talked about how you can get that ore and use it to get yourself into the process of industrialization. It's quite long to get to the point. If you make everything yourself, it can take a while to get to industrial, but it's worth the journey, crafting things in your backpack and making all the components. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you go through that process and follow the guides that I've made previously on how to do that, I'll link them in the top right. You're now at the point where you've seen that guide on how to get your factory up and running. We've looked at how to use refiners to make the pure product, the ingots as I call them. And then we had another video which looked at how you use a couple of refiners to take those pure materials and turn them into a product. It was in this case this honeycomb refiner. So today we're taking that just one step further. We're going to look at using all of this stuff that's previously been laid out in advance. I can remember how to link it all together. How to get all of the the ore into the refiners, from the refiners into a smelter, so we'll have a look at that, and then we'll look at using these electronics factories here, these metal workers here, and then finally into the assembly. So we're going full industrial process from start to finish, and we are going to be making a chemical industry M industrial unit because I need one basically. So and it's fairly easy. It doesn't the manufacturing process isn't too long-winded. So if you're not playing Dual Universe and you'd like to play, please consider using my link in the description below. That will get you a 3-month subscription for around $20, which is pretty cheap for what I think is an awesome game, and also helps me and the channel grow. Right, so here we go. Let's start. So we're looking at the Chemical Industry M unit, and we would like a process of manufacturing that will automate this from start to finish. And I'm going to throw another curveball into this. I'm going to make it a little bit different. I'm going to use the industrial unit's maintain function. Now, maintain, which I've touched upon briefly I think in a stream, that's an ability for a unit to look at the output container and look at the level of, so if you've got an industrial unit producing a unit, say basic pipe, you can have that industrial unit look at the output container and say, I will maintain 200 units of that in this output container, and whenever the level drops, the industrial unit will start and then it will replenish that which is missing if I have the resources. So here we go. So what I've done is I've got the large container. This large container has all of my raw resources in, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these refiners to make items. So we're in build mode, press number 6, we get the linkage tool up, and we're going to link this to all 3 refiners, that, and that. So we know now that we can make the pure stuff, the pure ingots, resources, call it what you like. And then we're going to link the output from all those 3 refiners into this one container here. Okay, right, so we need to track back a little bit. So we'll press K and we're going to open the recipe for this. Now we've got some electronics in here which we need to consider. The basic pipe, the basic chemical container, and the basic reinforced frame. They're all made in the metal workers. So let's start with the basic pipe. What do we need for that? We need silicon. Silicon is made in the smelter. Silicon is made from aluminium and silicone. So what we need to do is get these refiners producing aluminium and silicone. Let's start that now. Aluminium, and I'm going to need to stop that doing what it's supposed to be doing, and we want to make pure aluminium, and we're going to tell it to maintain 200 units. Let's just quickly check how much. So it takes 100 aluminium and 50 silicon. If I maintain 200 in the output container, that will do. So we're going to use this maintain function. Maintain 200, byproduct is hydrogen, and if I click start, that means that there is already more than 200 aluminium in the output container. And we do have more than 200 aluminium. Okay, so the other resource we needed was silicon. So I'm going to get this bad boy here to make silicon. So, pure silicon, okay. And we want that to maintain 200 as well. So we're on the maintain function, it uses quartz. I'm sure we can check if we've got plenty of that. Well, we've got plenty of that. And press start. And that will check the output container. Apparently, we have silicon in the output container and we must have more than 200. So, okay. And it's important when using the maintain to understand how it's working and to understand when it will kickstart. So, I'm going back to the pipes again. I'm going to do some of the linkages now. We know that we need silicon to make the basic pipes. So, smelter will make the silicon. So let's do this. Silicon. So we're going to get the smelter. I need to stop it doing what it's doing to make the silicon. And I'll apply that. It makes 75 at a time. I'm going to ask this to maintain 200. There we go. Okay, I'm going to tell that to start. It's going to tell me it doesn't have an output container. It doesn't have an input container either. Hold on. So we need to mark the input container for that, and we need to mark the output container. So the process is going to go pure resources taken from the ore in that container into the refiners, pushed out to this container, and then into the smelter. Okay, so thinking tool. Now that started. You'll see the green lights on it, wherever they are. There. See those green lights? That means that it started producing. And if we look at it, I need to very quickly now link that to an output container, and it just so happens I have one ready here. Okay, so the output from that is going to go into there. Now this is going to maintain 200, did we say, silicon into this container. Now I need some pipes. Now the pipes are a direct product. So let me just explain to you what I mean by that. So this is going to make the components that we're going to, or the raw materials that we're going to make components from. So I've set this up so that this will feed this metal worker here and this metal worker here. Now these these make screws and metal frames and all kinds of other good stuff. Okay, but there will be an instance where I actually want this to make a byproduct to go into there. So I'm going to get this to make the pipes because I want the pipes as a direct product. So that means I'm going to then link this as an output container to here. Okay, so that means that we've got silicon coming from the smelter going into here, and that's going to draw the silicon off to make the pipes. That's going to then go into this container ready to feed the assembler, and then the assembler output will be there. I'll just link that while I'm here. Okay, making sense so far. So this is feeding these two metal workers. What I'm also going to do is have this to feed both of the electronics factories, like that. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do now is start this making pipes. Let's just double check. How many do we need? 36. So we'll start the process of making 36 pipes. Now I'm actually not going to use maintain because I don't want to keep making pipes in this situation. I only need one chem unit. So 36, and I'm going to say start. Missing input ingredients. So we're missing screws. Okay, so what we need now is some screws to make the pipes. We click down. Oh, hang on, no, I've got the wrong recipe. My apologies, I've got the wrong recipe. Stop that. Well, actually, I do need that as well, but I'm not going to do that now. So let's go. Pipes, basic pipe, there we go. Apply, and then make 36, start. And that's started because we've actually got some silicon in here now, which is being fed in by this. Now this is on maintain, so at a point when that's drawn off and taken the silicon in this container below 200, that will start and feed into here, and likewise it will draw resources from there, which will then start these running. So at this moment in time, that one is running. Okay, so that's held that's in a holding pattern because of the. So they're both in a holding pattern because they're on maintain, which means that these have more than 200 aluminium and silicon. Great. So from ore to refinery, from refinery maintaining 200 into the output container, then feeding the smelter, which is creating silicon, which is going into here and maintaining 200 silicon in there. So once this has finished making X amount, I don't know how many, it's going to draw down this, which is going to start that process off. Now, what else did we need? That's the pipes taken care of. We also need basic power systems. Aha! Now what I actually need for this is another smelter if I want to run these processes simultaneously. But I think I have enough. Yeah, so I've pre-populated this with some of the resources just for expediency in the video. So let's have another look at the basic power system. We need this, which we have, but we also need basic connectors, and they're made in another electronics. So what we've got here is this little baby over here, and I'm just going to move that down here so visually we can see where the process is running. Just move things about a bit. I like to, for these videos, kind of make a visual representation so when you're looking down from the top you can see how the process is unfolding. So we wanted some basic connectors, so let's start here, and I'm going to say connect, basic connector, apply that. I have a look in the container. We have plenty of these, so how many did we need to make? We need 25 of these, which means we need 25 times 4 basic connectors, so we need 100. Okay, so basic connectors, make us 100 of those and start. Right, so that's drawing the resources out of here, but it's got nowhere to put it, so we need to put it into there. Now let's have another look again. Why are we making those basic connectors? Because those basic connectors are going to make a basic power system. Basic power system is made in an electronics factory. So, whoa, hang on a minute. We need to feed those into this electronics factory. The basic power connectors use this alloy, which is coming from the smelter. It would be coming from the smelter if I hadn't pre-populated it. I would probably have another smelter running here, feeding that container. And it also uses these. So I can now say to this, okay, in the final build, I need to make basic power systems, and I need 25. 25 basic power systems. Start making me those. Yeah, we've got connectors coming through, so that's good. That's going to need somewhere to output to, though, and you can see where the picture's building up now. That outputs to there. And then what we do is we say, okay, these are the end products of our entire process. So that goes into the assembly, and that goes into the assembly. Okay. So this one outputs to here, and then that will go into there, because what we're now going to have to look at making. So there's 2 items left which we can't currently make, but these need screws and silicon. So silicon's in this container. It's coming out of the smelter. I'm going to have to ask this one to make screws for us. So, and I think I might have populated this with screws already. Yeah, I do. I'm going to tell it to maintain in this case. Just why not? Just cause. So basic screws. It's already set. And I'm going to, I have to stop if I want to reset it. I'm going to ask this to maintain 200 basic screws, and I'm going to tell it to start, and that's now started. So that's going to get these basic screws up to 200, and that will then feed this. Why is it feeding that? Because, let's check back in our crafter again, because this needs silicon and basic screws, and this needs steel. Okay, so the silicon's already in production, going into there. I've already pre-populated this with steel as well. There we go. So we would have potentially 3 smelters feeding this container of any size. So what's happening is the screws are being made in here, fed into there, and then this, which is currently producing basic pipes, and has 34 left to go. Really? 34 left to go? No, it doesn't. I'll stop that early. So what we will have is these two elements made in metal workers. So there's a number of ways we can do this. We can just wait, which is what I'm doing here because I don't have enough metal workers to run them all concurrently, or we can run them concurrently. So we can have this container feeding another metal worker here, which feeds that, and then this container feeding another metal worker here, which feeds that, and then we can make the metal frame and the chemical container at the same time as we're making these pipes. So that then leads us into setting this machine up, and in here I'm going to say make me a chemical industry M. That's what we want. I'm going to apply that. We can see we don't have all the resources yet, so production, make me one, and click start. It's going to say missing it, input ingredients. So very simplistically, you can see now that what we have is we have the basic ore coming in. Imagine it like a production line in a factory. The basic ore comes into this container, and this feeds refiners. It could be 4, 6, 10, 12, as many refiners as you need. You are limited by the number of outputs you have on a container. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out. Okay, so you could have 9 refiners fed by this one large container, or in, or out to the refiners. Refiners maintaining 200 of their relevant materials in here. You get the raw pure materials. As pure materials then feed this smelter. The smelter then feeds that container. But aha, was he? As a little surprise for us, because I was talking about having an additional smelter in the process. Well, I done made one, didn't I? So let's put this here. Okay, so we can now have a smelter. We go back to our linking tool. That, actually, let's move it here so we're not crossing the lines over. There we go. We're going to link the output into this smelter, and then that is going to feed here. And what was it we needed? We needed making steel. So let's have a double check. This needs silicon, and this needs steel. So let's just say we didn't have any steel and we wanted to run concurrently. I could take this and say, okay, make some steel. Steel, there we go. Apply that. I'm going to use it as a maintain. Let me just double check how much we've got in this container. 452. So let's call it 600. So let's maintain 600. Now the 600 is the litres, not 5,000. Whoa. 600. So that's all cushy, I think. Press start, and that's now making steel. So we've now got 2 smelters running. Ore in, out, pure material to the smelters. Smelters making the components. Don't like the lines crossing. Stop it. There you go. I like it nice and neat. Because I like to go up here and have a look down and say, that's how my factory works. Out, raw materials going into here, and those raw materials, so we could have another smelter here making this AlFe alloy to feed these 2 electronics. So you can see how you can start to get really clever in making these things. So you could just have all this set up and say, hey, I make chemical industry units M. Yep. Who wants one? Yeah, okay, fine. And what you could do is you could just say, okay, I'm just going to click start on these refiners. If you've got the ore there. Or you could just say, well, I'm going to drop ore in here. And as long as you've got the ore, the rest of the process using this maintain will keep going. Now, why use maintain instead of just producing a specific amount? It's because it actually helps you with the storage space in the containers. So you can make sure that you don't have one large run of, say, carbon absolutely choking out the space in here. So if you just put it on run, and it helps, it saves having to micromanage. So you could say, okay, this one's making screws, and I need 10 steel to make screws, and I need to make 250 screws, so it's 250 times 10. You could then maintain that amount in there, and that's it. And then you know, it's just a great way of automating your process. So now we have that making the basic connectors. They have 96 left to go. We have this making the basic power systems, and they have 18 left to go. Smelters doing their smelting, raw materials in there. This is making the basic pipes. These are making the screws. So when the basic pipes are finished, I then need to just do one run of the basic chemical container and one of the basic reinforced frame. So if I had 2 more metal workers, I could just do that. So I'm going to leave that running, and we will come back shortly and see where we are at in terms of the process, getting to a conclusion. What we want to see now is this starting once we've made the chemical container and the frame. So we will be back soon. So ladies and gents, we're back, and yes, this is near the end of making the basic chemical container, which was the last component we needed after making 2 frames. Now, as I've said before, we could have had 2 metal workers here and just produced everything in parallel, but I don't have them yet. But if I did, I would. So what we're looking at now is this is set up to start making this chemical industry M, which is the whole point of this process. Okay. Or making anything. And this is a this is being made in an assembly line M, and I'm just making another one of these. It's actually going to help me for another video, which I'll probably do tomorrow, which is a video showing you how I managed to make millions whilst not ever leaving Sanctuary. Yeah, you heard me right, I make millions. And it's that easy, and there's loads of different ways you could do it, and I will talk you through how I do it, and then talk you through how you could do it. I mean, the options are limitless, but it's just knowing the process by which, and I've just found this, I haven't done it by chance. So here we go, let's have a look. This should be near finishing. Okay, so it's got 1 minute left to go, and what we're going to see is this light. Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, and I don't want that. So what we're going to see is this light go green. So when this is finished making the chemical container in 43 seconds, this is literally only now missing that chemical container. It's got everything else that's been manufactured in these 2 containers here. And let's just wait. Tick tock, tick tock. There she blows. And this is now started. So this is now making the chemical industry M. Now that's going to output to there. Okay, so let's just say, how could we, so if we wanted to produce, if we just wanted to do a whole bunch of chemical industry M units to sell, and just while we're on the subject, should we have a look and see how much they are selling for? 59k, the cheapest. So it's not to be sneezed at. They're not difficult to produce. So let's say we want to automate that manufacturing process. All we need is 2 more metal workers in this process. So that would be a metal worker here, say, and a metal worker here, say, and that will be fed by this container into these 2, and then this container into these 2, and they will make this, because they'll have the feed of the screws from this container, which is being made by those, and they'll have the feed of the silicon, which is being made by that smelter over there. Likewise, you have the basic reinforced frame M, which is being fed by this, making the steel. Yeah. So it's got missing input ingredients. Just let's have a look at this. Pure iron. So we're missing iron in here. There's not enough iron to make. There's only 43 there. So we could take this and say maintain 200, and we want iron. Easy enough. Apply that. Go to production. Maintain 200. Start. That's going to look and say, okay, need to start making iron to output to there, which will then start this. I don't want to maintain 600. No, really. Quite a lot. You got 200. So that's making, so this should start. Let's just watch this. And I love watching this because it's I love automating the production line. I haven't really looked into efficiency that much. I think as long there you go, and it's started now because the refiner has provided the pure iron and there's pure carbon in the container already. So if you wanted to fully automate this process, you would need aluminium, silicon, iron, and then you'd need another refiner for carbon. Putting into here, that making steel, that making silicon, they're both feeding that. You would also actually need another smelter to make the ALFE, this stuff, to feed the electronics factory, making the connectors and making these power systems. That's feeding that, which goes into there for the connectors, which goes into there to make the power systems, which goes into there to feed the assembly line. You get it anyway. So hopefully that starts to show you how much fun it is to start to design your simple processes. And again, this is still a simple process for a fairly low level item. You start to look at things like I tried to automate this the other day. It was a territory claim unit. And this has an awful lot of moving parts. So then you need to factor into this process 3D printer to make these fixations. So we need to bring this in and drop that into the process somewhere, but you actually need 2 3D printers to automate it. So yeah, and then to do that you need to bring in this chem itself, and you need to use that to feed the 3D printers, the polycalcite, the polycarbonate. So you would have this container here starting to feed these with the raw components, and you could even start to look at splitters where you can take specific resources out and send them in a different direction. So there you go. That is, I love looking at this view. That is the basic layout, taking you from the point of production through to assembly. I hope it was useful, and keep your eyes peeled for the beta key giveaway, which I keep talking about, is happening this week, and I'm very, very fortunate. We have at least 3 beta keys to give away, possibly 4. So the competition is going to be open to any subscriber to this channel, and all you need to do when the video is published is just make a comment in that video, and that will enter you into the draw. And we will be doing 1 draw every week for at least 3 weeks. So if you have any friends that would like to take place in the competition to get maybe free access to the beta, then let them know, and I will certainly make everyone aware when that video is up and running. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.